Thank you. I'm now calling the Tuesday, January 2026 regular meeting of the Los Altos Hills County Fire District Board of Commissioners to order. The time is 7:04 p.m. Please note we're conducting a hybrid meeting, which allows staff and members of the public to attend this meeting via virtual teleconference. In the event that there are technical problems that prevent remote public participation, I have the discretion to continue the meeting without remote public participation options, provided that no board member is participating in the meeting via teleconference. And that is true. There are no commissioners doing that. This hybrid meeting will be video recorded and posted on our website. Because we are video conferencing, we will follow a strict protocol for the benefit of the recording. I will indicate when commissioners, staff, presenters, and the public will provide comments. If you've called into the meeting and are not using a webcam, please state your name prior to providing your comment. And if you're making public comments and have questions of the presenter or of the commission, please address your question to me, the board president. I will respond, either seek a response or hold the question for a future response. Please practice considerate video conferencing etiquette by muting your line when you are speaking and limiting distracted behavior on camera. District Clerk Vargas, please conduct a roll call.
All right, commissioners, I will be conducting all roll calls this evening in the same order. Please remember the order so that you are prepared to provide your vote or comments. President Spreen.
Here.
Vice President McDonald.
Present.
Commissioner Basiji.
Here.
Commissioner Kadambi. Commissioner Tonka.
Yeah.
Commissioner Tyson.
Here.
Commissioner Warren.
Here.
Okay, and we have 6 out of 7 commissioners present. Also, for the benefit of the recording, I will be conducting a presenters, consultants, and staff roll call. Office of District 5 Supervisor Abe Koga, Policy Manager Runyon is in the audience. Thank you. And Santa Clara County Fire Department Fire Chief Kirkow.
Present. And Corey, I could not activate my video. It says that I can't start it because it's disabled by the host as an FYI.
Yes, yeah. We can. I can share the your report unless there's something you wanted to share, but we can get to that, and I'll allow you access. So Mid-Penn Regional Open Space District Land Stewardship and Trails Manager Gorman.
Good evening.
Oh, he's there. Yeah. He's there. Okay. We have Mid-Penn Area Manager Fikes. Is here. Thank you. And Mid-Penn Field Resource Specialist Young. Okay, thank you. Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council CEO Shallett is there. Thank you. Municipal Resource Group Strategic Planning Consultant Scott, also in the audience. Thank you. Community Education Risk Reduction Manager Gluhan.
Present.
Okay. Programs Planning Grants Manager Woods.
Present.
Okay. Technical Analyst / Project Manager Cronin. There.
Present.
Thank you. Project Operations Manager Russell.
Present.
Okay. Field Manager Harmon.
I'm here.
Thank you. General Analyst Georgie.
Present.
Technical Data Analyst Martinez.
Present.
Community Events Specialist Sachdeva.
Present.
Thank you. Administrative Specialist Revlar.
Present.
Project Specialist Risk Reduction King Rob.
Present.
Community Risk Reduction Specialist Stotsick.
Present.
Thank you. Finance Program Specialist Corpus.
Present.
Thank you. IHFR Specialist Nazarova.
Present.
Yeah. Operations and Administrative Manager Fairman.
Present.
Okay. Finance and IT Manager Moriali.
Present.
Okay. General Manager Logan.
Present.
Deputy County Counsel Jackson.
Present.
Thank you. And presenters, consultants, and staff are accounted for.
Thank you, District Clerk Vargas. Moving on to item 2, my remarks. A few things. First of all, it seems like we were here just yesterday, but it's been 2 months, and a lot can happen
reach out to them, get them engaged, and they progress through this process. Seems like pretty rapidly, which means that they were, had an appetite for it. So, thank you.
Yep. Thanks to them, and I'm sure there'll be more on this next month during the semi-annual reports. But I do want to also mention that if you check out the map in the consent calendar of the Firewise coverage, it really knocked my socks off. In fact, there's a physical one back there, and the reason is, I mean, when you think about, first of all, that makes 10, and there are 3 others kind of in progress. And if you imagine that it was only a few years ago that map was empty, and the whole task was go out into this town and this district area, which by the way is 30% larger than the town of Los Altos Hills, and start organizing residents. That's just an unimaginable task almost. And Denise has handled it, and look how much.
Right here, first one.
So this is progress that everyone should be proud of, and I cannot imagine the work it took to make that happen. Now, granted, more residents need to get involved. Just covering the map isn't enough, but that's just what an accomplishment that map is an illustration of. Let's see, and let's see. That's one other thing I'll mention is we have a slightly different version of Zoom being used tonight that should make it for a more seamless transition of people and so forth. You'll notice that we don't have other people's pictures showing all the time, but that does mean that it's the first time doing it. So if we have any technical glitches, it's, give everyone a little extra space for trying to figure out how this one works. And we thank you guys for just on short notice making this all happen. So glitches will be totally acceptable for that reason.
One night only, yeah.
For one night only, exactly. So I'm going to roll right out of these remarks into item 3 because I want to start with one other thing. I want to thank someone being here, which is Santa Clara County District 5 Policy Manager Sandy Runyon, who's here for what we're about to talk about next. So we really appreciate any connection with our district supervisors. Is so great, and we appreciate your time because I know how busy you are on a lot of things, let alone little old us here. So thank you for giving your evening to us. And what this item is about a word that I think is quite amazing. And I'm going to pass this off, I think, to talk about it to
Denise.
Denise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we're ready. Sorry.
Yep.
Paying attention.
Well, good evening, commissioners and all the staff and presenters. Thank you for coming out this evening. I have the wonderful pleasure we were just talking about Firewise and success, of introducing a volunteer that every year we get to nominate somebody as the Santa Clara County Emergency Managers Association Volunteer of the Year. Typically in the past, it's been CERT members, Community Emergency Response Team members. This year, because of the growth and the activity on Firewise, we decided to look at some other opportunities to celebrate volunteerism. So again, in kind of with the theme of yesterday's celebration of Martin Luther King, I wanted to just make a quote: everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need to have a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. And that was Martin Luther King Jr. So I would like to take this opportunity. One of my, so as you know, the Firewise manages their own neighborhoods. We support that. So this is my support of one of my Firewise leaders. Natoma Firewise is the community that Mike oversees with his leadership board. Nobody stands alone. We encourage to have lots of help. He had some, why did we choose to nominate him? He's done some really innovative and thoughtful ways of engaging. One of my big complaints is, we have so little participation inside the Firewise boundaries because we make the boundaries really big. And so how do we increase that? And on their 3-year goals, one of the things that they have to do in their application is set up 3-year goals. And it's always recruitment as one of those goals. So how do you recruit more neighbors? Everybody's busy. Everything's competing for our time, our money, all of that. So how do you get engagement? So Mike has really exemplified this in some of the ways that he's engaged his neighbors. He's also really embraced the HIZ, the Home Ignition Zone program. to the point where he wrote an article for Our Town back in May. And, you know, again, when you receive and teach, that's the one of the biggest recognitions. He's not only worked inside the fire district with the volunteering spirit, but he works on one of the town committees, the Emergency Initiatives Committee. Environmental Initiatives Committee. So he's involved, a well-rounded volunteer. He's also come and presented. I have office hours twice a month, and he's presented at that to tell, as a mentor role, what he's done to help encourage other leadership to, move forward and help them and kind of drive that positive volunteer spirit. So I will stop my talking. I'm going to ask Mike if he doesn't mind coming up and receiving a certificate that's awarded from, he got the other one was Emergency Services Managers. This is actually from the fire district. So Dee, did you? Oh, yeah. And then I'm going to ask him to talk a little bit, because you notice there's some pink flamingos on the back buntinis, and I have a little pink flamingo on my jacket here. And I'm going to let him tell what that's about. But first, let me have President Spreen come up and Mike Salome on Natoma Leadership.
Wow.
You
Okay,
bet.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Wow, check that out.
So again, Mike, thank you so very much. Thank you. He's just been, and I asked Mike and he just steps up. He just really, I don't even have to ask. He just steps up. So let me give him the mic to let him tell what the pink flamingo is all about. Thank you,
Okay,
Mike.
thanks. Well, by the way, Jim Vasigi and I used to work together in a previous life, right? So I was kind of surprised to run into him again. Nice to work with you again. So Firewise, we started maybe 3 years ago, maybe or 2.5 years ago, and we got 20 members, mainly by arm twisting people that we knew directly, or shaming them and guilting them into joining. And then the next thing, well, how do we grow beyond that? Because we have 250 residences in our area. So we thought that the approach we've taken is the normal thing, scaring people. Oh, there's fires, your house is going to burn down, you're going to lose your insurance, and it doesn't work at all. So we needed something kind of more fun, more social. So the centerpiece of that was the pink flamingo, which you've seen around. And basically we said, if you just do the minimal thing to move in the direction of being more fire safe. And so I won't get into the details about the criteria. We'll deliver a pink flamingo. And I was really terrified because I moved to Los Altos Hills about 3 or 4 years ago. And I thought, oh, people are going to hate this. They're going to think it's vulgar. They're going to hate the whole idea. But the opposite happened is people were snapping these up. They loved it. They put them on their lawns, or I put them on at first, and then I sent out an email about 6 weeks later, said, hey, you can take them down now. If you don't like them, you can take them down, but they're still all out there. So people, I guess the message is they like something that's that's fun, that's social. That's the kind of thing that works. So as we go into the next year, we're just starting our new campaign to get from 40 to 60. I hope we're going to try out some new things and see what happens. So thanks very much for the opportunity. I really enjoy working with all the people, with Dee and Denise, and their passion is what is the engine behind all this. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
And I just have a couple of things to add. On an email that Mike mailed to his community, he titled it "Looking Back at 2025, a Solid Year." So membership grew from 22 to 41 residences. In 1 year, that's pretty huge. 37 households reported vegetation removal, totaling over 1,000 cubic yards. And then more than 25 Natoma residents completed an HIZ assessment, and he wrote one of the most effective tools for reducing home ignition risk. So I just wanted to, again, thank Mike for his leadership and Natoma being a role model for other communities. Thank you.
Thanks again, Mike. Thank you very much.
We get a picture with him in the back.
I still like to say a word or two. Mike and I had essentially a merger and acquisition deal about, I would say, several decades back. And he was so forthright and so absolutely above board about everything we did. He blew me away then, and you still do it now. Thank you.
Thank you for saying
you.
that.
And to me, the fact that he's only a resident for a few years here, putting us all to shame because we like to be proud of those of us who've been here for decades and decades. But that's the kind of energy and innovative thought, simple things that make a huge difference. So it just blew me away. So
Yeah, just the last word I want to say is that, having been doing this at the ground level for 3 years, talking to people, observing, is that when people get HIZ inspections, assessments, is that I think over half the time they do something significant to reduce their fire risk, because the mechanism is that everybody's worried about fire, but they don't know what to do. Like, you read the brochures, and I was the same way, like, oh, what's a fire ladder and all that. And then when somebody comes by and goes through your property and gives you the education, and most homeowners, it's like if you have a broken window, you get it fixed, right? And they go, oh, that there's something in my property that I need to address. So anything we can do to promote that is the best thing we can do. It's the number one tool for getting people to actually take action and reduce their fire risk. So keep the budget going for that. Thank you.
we will.
And one little side note, I have a little flamingo pin that's on. I went to one of his neighborhood watch Firewise meeting, and if you brought a resident that lived in the Natoma Firewise, you got a little pin. So that was another way that he was encouraging recruitment, the HIZ program. And again, you can see why he's been such a great volunteer. Thank you, Mike.
And I believe our supervisor would like to, our supervisor policy director would like to make a little presentation.
Sandy Runyon on behalf of Supervisor Abby Koga. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to attend tonight, but she also wanted to provide her congratulations on your amazing work.
Incredible.
So this is for you, Joe.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's the most humble, most humble.
Not anymore. Not
I know.
anymore.
The Center for Emergency Managers, he says, don't make a big deal about it. It's okay.
Which means the worst thing we could have done for him is to drag him here and give him more recognition and applause. So, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And thank you for an excuse to have great delicacies for snacks as well with the little pink flamingos on it. Great. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And we will move on. So moving on to item 4, public comment. Persons wishing to address the commission on any subject not on the agenda may do so now. Please note, however, the commission is not able to undertake extended discussion or action tonight on items not on the agenda. Items may be referred to staff for appropriate action, which may include placement on the next available agenda. District policy is to limit public testimony to 3 minutes per speaker, unless the number of speakers requires me to impose shorter time limits. Do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda?
I am not seeing any online.
Okay, great. Thank you. In that case, moving on to item 5, agenda amendments and changes. Are any comments from staff on this item? Any changes? Need any items? Seeing none. Any commissioners like to make changes to the order of the agenda? Seeing none. Any public need to change things? In that case, we will move on to item 6, the consent calendar. I will now entertain, let me move on to any comments from staff on any of the consent calendar items? Not seeing any. Any questions from the commission on any consent items?
Can I back up a little bit? I just realized I had a comment, and it had to do with, I think in the IHFR under the Roblita Burke evacuation route document, there was a discussion in there about how after going through once before, homeowners were planting new ladder fuels. If I'm reading the right thing in there, I did see that, and so there I saw there was a new education thing to remind people exactly how this works, because it turns out by creating this open space, it looked as though we were creating a window for people to create more screening and kind of undoing what we were doing. So that was, I thought, worth noting.
Interesting. Okay. And something we'll talk about more next month as well when we talk about that in detail, because that sounds like an important one. Is we don't want to be doing rework for no reason. I know that's been an issue in certain places where people have been replanting hedges. So, any comments on that from?
I'll just make a quick comment right here, and that is as a result of that observation, which was multiplied a couple of times. The team put together a Avoid the Ladder campaign with the graphic and the explanation, and that's become a part now of our regular conversation with employees when we're out at Firewise communities or with HIZs. Just that phenomena. So you'll hear more about that next month.
Any other comments on consent items here? Seeing none, let's see. In that case, I entertain a motion. Will the commissioner make any motion? We'll have public comments as soon as we have a motion for them.
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Warren seconds.
Great. Okay. I don't see any commission discussion, so let's take some public comments.
Thank you, Alan Epstein. I live in the district. I agree with you, President Spreen, that there's an awful lot of items on the agenda on the consent calendar that would be very nice to have heard some discussion about this evening. Couple of the comments I'd like to make with regards to the December financial statement. We're 50% through the year, but we're only 13% through the expenditures in the projects and programs area. And I'd like to recommend that a subtotal be placed on that projects and program area so that the visibility is more clear as to what's taking place in that particular area. I also had a question with regards to the evacuation planning. I noticed that evacuation planning is coming up again for the Ravensbury area, I believe, unless I misunderstood it, in 2026. It just took place in 2025, and I guess I'm kind of trying to understand what the dynamic is with regards to the frequency of these things. I know things grow back, but they typically don't grow back in 1 year in sufficient nature to make it worthwhile to spend all the money associated with doing that. I would have liked to have heard how the I-280 project is coming along. A major milestone is coming up at the end of January, about 95% estimates on the cost of the project. It would have been nice to hear about that. And I also noticed that we didn't receive any grants or awards. And I'm just curious whether Hidden Villa, which I understand the district helped prepare a grant application for, whether they were lucky enough to receive an award. So thank you very much.
Do you have any question on any knowledge on the Ravensbury update? Or is that what the, okay.
I can help
We'll
with
get
those
answers.
if you like.
Oh, yes, please.
So Ravensbury was done in August of 23. And so we revisit those every 2-ish years. So we're just coming up on a little bit past the 2 years on that one. And it's been combined into a little bit longer route because the maintenance routes don't take as long as the initial treatments.
Good. Great. Thank you.
And then I can there's an update on Hidden Villa in the packet, but I can speak to that too if you like.
Please.
The Wildfire Prevention Grants Awards came out in December. So of course we didn't have a meeting in December, but in the packet is the link to the projects that did receive the awards. And none of the Santa Clara County submissions received awards this year for, some reason. We don't get the details of the applications that were turned down. Hidden Villa probably got the details, but they're not released as part of the awards page.
Great, thank you. Okay, in that case, any other public comments on the consent calendar items?
See none, no?
Yeah, come to the mic if you could.
Oh, there's one.
Seth Shallett, Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council. The city of Morgan Hill was the one area in Santa Clara County that did receive a fire prevention grant. There were 3 total. The other 2 were in Alameda County. So 3 total for the unit, city of Morgan Hill. I also just wanted to take a quick comment since we were talking Firewise earlier. We were looking today, and there are a total of 30 Firewise communities throughout the county. And so you fully have 1/3 of the Firewise communities with 3 in process. So people have a lot to do to catch up to Los Altos Hills. So congratulations on all your Firewise success.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comments on the consent calendar? Seeing
Yeah,
none. Let's take a roll call.
President Spreen.
Yes.
Vice President McDonald.
Yes.
Commissioner Basiji.
Yes.
Commissioner Tonka.
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson.
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
Right, and the motion passes 6-0 with 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7, the fire chief report. Item 7A is the monthly report for November 2025, and 7B is the monthly report for December 2025. If the fire chief will please provide this report.
Good evening, President Spreen. Just making sure everybody can hear me. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And good evening, Vice President McDonald and commissioners and staff. We have 2 reports to present this evening. A couple of things. First of all, the report that is dated December 12th is mislabeled. It should say Public Safety Report for November 2025. So this is actually November's report instead of December's report. And then the following one will be the data for December's report. There are some changes that you're going to see in these reports, and it's really driven by a change at the national fire reporting level, which is we went from a national reporting incident platform to what's called NERIS, and that is an opportunity for the organization to look at the data elements and to report out information, I think, and ingest it a little bit more cohesively for the organization. So with that said, I'm just going to go ahead and run through November's report. Again, this one that's labeled here December 12th, 2025 is actually November's report. So Corey, can you go to the next page? And yes, thank you. So you had a total of 73 calls. Again, this report is, and I will concur, kind of blank, it doesn't really say much as far as like, well, what happened throughout the month. You know, you see that you had 7 fire alarms, 1 hazmat call, 45 medicals, 4 classified as others, and then 16 service calls. Next slide, Corey. We are working on, because some of the feedback that we have gotten from the commissioners, as well as just feedback from the public as a whole, is, is this information on this report useful? How does this indicate that we're doing better? So as we looked at the report as a whole, this is where we have shifted to make some changes in our new reporting structure. So again, going back, you see here in the Los Altos Hills County Fire District, a regional approach where Rescue 74 at El Monte Station does the bulk of the calls throughout the year. 76, 75 are also contributing to the Hills with resources coming in from other local nearby county fire stations. And then you've got obviously Battalion 74 right out of El Monte Station that is part of the response model for the Hills. We can go to the next one, which I believe is the map, Corey. And again, this is just for November. Yeah. So again, this is that distribution of calls. And this is what, again, the dots are what the call came in as, not what they necessarily was when we got there, but what the caller said the call was. You can see the distribution for the month of November. And again, because we're out of fire season, much of the calls are usually EMS anyways, but we didn't have very many fire calls throughout the month of November. So with that said, that's the end of November's report. Before we move on to December's report, I'll pause and take any questions.
Any commission questions? Not seeing any. Let's go through both of them and we'll take public comments at the end of both.
Okay, great. So this cover letter that you see here, dated January 13th, is really, again, I will give it a lot of credit to Assistant Chief Art Tomasetti, who heads the Administration and Planning Division for the organization. So he, along with his divisional staff, worked through several iterations of this new newsletter, but within the newsletter are the elements, data elements that are specific to Los Altos Hills County Fire District. The front cover, go ahead and go to the next page, Corey, is a basic template that all cities that we serve will get, which again is a space that we can highlight the regional approach that County Fire has within the county and really who we are as an organization serving so many of the entities that we're proud to serve. And then you'll just see for this report, it's just a message from the fire chief for just the introduction of this newsletter. Next page, Corey. You saw that there was a toy drive. And again, it just gives you an overview of some of the things that we do, beside toy drive. Some of the things that we've also done is made a major purchase down in the South County Fire District area for 10 acres, which will be currently a space for fleet maintenance, a warehouse, and then in the future, a modern updated training center. So we are very proud of being able to continue to serve the county throughout the north and the south, and then with our regional partners, and really hope to bring in our partners into that training site. So again, for December's events, some of the things that Chief Tomasetti, the admin and planning division are pulling out are some significant incidents that just show not just the collaboration with other within the organization, but through our partners as well. So you'll see things that, you can take your time and if you choose, you can read it and just see what events there were that were significant throughout the region. We did have an off-duty rescue. You see here that Captain Eric Hafman received the Medal of Valor, and you'll see again, the details that he was on vacation in Hawaii, and there was a call for distress, and he left immediately to go and rescue the person out of the water. So this records management system update that you're seeing, this is exactly what is driving the change for this format, where we are able to take some of the data elements that were not available to us in the previous format into this new format and report out or take the opportunity to report out different data elements. Next slide. So here's where the breakdown is that will be specific to each of the jurisdictions that we serve for. So for Los Altos Hills, what you see here is just the call breakdown. This is where, again, for what it's worth, there's again 74 calls. I apologize. I'm at home tonight, and I'm sorry if you're hearing the dogs in the background. We've got, again, for the district, there were no significant incidents that occurred this month. And you can see some community education that we do throughout the jurisdiction. And again, this is just for November through December period. Next slide. This is your monthly breakdown. Again, we're trying to make it so that it's easier to kind of digest as you take a look at the information. So as we work through the data elements, any feedback that we get, we'll be happy to take and see if we can make modifications. But this is where your response time, your alarm processing time, and your EMS response totals are for the district. Next slide. These, again, are just total numbers of calls. And what we're trying to impress here is you are part of a regional system throughout the County Fire Response Service area. And in total for December, we ran 1,800, just a little over 1,800 calls. And overall, we see call volume continuing to increase year after year. With, again, most of the calls being medical in nature. Next slide, Cor, or is that the end of it? The last one is really just about community safety, and some of the things that the staff is looking at is what can we do again with a partnership. And again, Los Altos Hills County Fire District staff does an incredible job with community education. So this is not at all to be, I don't want to say in competition, but it's really to augment the information that the district staff puts out there. And with Christmas upon, us in December, one of the things that was definitely a concern for many fire agencies and communities is just the lithium-ion battery safety, especially given the fact that so many e-bikes or e-scooters were out there. So this is an opportunity for us to put a public safety message out there based on what we're seeing, either through the data elements that we're analyzing or based on just seasonal interests that we have. So with that said, again, this is just an opportunity for us to describe not just to Los Altos Hills County Fire District what is going on within the district in terms of response, but overall for the regional approach for the organization and the communities that we so proudly serve. With that, I'll pause and take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the? Yes,
Oh,
please.
just congratulations on the acquisition of the new maintenance and training facility in South County. That's great.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, comments? Oh, George?
Well, I just appreciate I like the newsletter format. I think it's very bold and eye-catching.
Thank you. Okay. Any public comments? I see we have one here.
Alan Epstein, I live in the district. I think the brochure is a very nice brochure. I think it's a nice document for the public in general. But I think as far as this commission is concerned, it is providing even less information than the last iteration has provided. Just to give you some examples, previously it reported on the difference between the rural and urban response times. That has disappeared from the report. The map has disappeared from the report. The ability to see which stations provided services has disappeared from the report. So I think it's a very handsome document, and the regional approach is nice. But as far as providing the commissioners some information about the performance of the fire department relative to the activities that take place in our district, I think it's lacking and is a step down from where we are today. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the comment. Any other public comments? None online?
See none.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. We appreciate it. Let's see.
Thank you.
In that case. Okay, in that case, we will be moving on to item 8. This is the General Manager Logan presenting the General Manager report.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. Happy New Year and public and staff. So starting off, I'd like to move to the General Manager's report. There we go. We've got a couple of good pictures that represent what we've been doing this month. And you'll see over on the right-hand side, we had a fire hydrant strike, and you'll be able to get a report from our operations manager on that strike. And of course, we've got the budget, and HIZs are always in our focus. Next slide, please. Updates on events and activities. The Coalition Together meeting, Ready Together Coalition meeting. Slide before that, Corey. Thank you. Here we go, was held this month, and that is with Los Altos Mountain View Community Foundation. And you'll see the participants there that engage in this bi-monthly activity. We all get together and we talk about what we can do to better and bolster regional fire protection and fire service for our areas. City of Los Altos Hills, and the surrounding areas through the nonprofits and the Community Foundation. Thank you. Next slide. This is an update. On February 10th, I'll be speaking to the Los Altos Hills Town Council, and this will be the 5th of my presentations there. And that's a monthly activity just to make sure that the Los Altos Hills Council is up to speed and hearing about the activities going on with the district. So I appreciate the council giving me that opportunity. The next slide, Fire and Emergency Medical Agreement Services Agreement between Los Altos Hills, the City of Los Altos, and County Fire. I'd like to speak to that. You'll see in the packet that there is a letter from City of Los Altos, and that letter declares their intention to opt out of a renewal of the 10-year fire and emergency services contract. And there's a resolution that accompanies that. So this is just to put notice to the commission that that has occurred. And I found out about that right before the Christmas holiday. So this is the first time I've had a chance to present the information to the commission and to the public and to the staff. So that information is there. I'm sure that probably in hearing that, you have a number of questions. So I've put together some notes and just to talk with you about Okay. So the letter and the resolution, again, was presented. Significance of this action to Los Altos Hills County Fire District and its impact on residents is the content of my remarks today. For a bit of background, I'd like to mention that Los Altos Hills County Fire District seeks to sustain the fire district with a local focus of protection, prevention, and building community resiliency by providing life and property safety services, fire risk reduction, and emergency preparedness programs that are adapted to the unique characteristics of the district. Community support was voiced by the residents in 2020, as you recall, for maintaining a local fire district presence, and again by a community survey that was generated by the LAHCFD Countywide Fire Service Review. And as you recall, the public from Los Altos, the residents, were very vocal in their support of the fire district. So LAHCFD has engaged with the fire department and the county to build local and regional long-term initiatives, such as, and I'll mention some of these, Palo Alto Fire Station 8 wildfire protection, procurement of 4 firefighter apparatuses for local regional protection, the I-280 fuel break project, currently in construction and in design, a feasibility study for a new fire facility for the district parcel, and Firewise communities, HIZs, and emergency preparedness programs. These initiatives are mentioned because they were developed and continue to evolve, signifying intent by both Los Altos Hills County Fire District, the fire department, and the county for a continuing long-term collaboration for fire suppression and medical services. The 10-year fire and emergency agreement is the core foundation to these endeavors. The current agreement can be bifurcated to provide contractual relationships between Los Altos Hills County Fire District and County Fire, and that indicates the satisfaction with the current operating agreement. And the intention is to continue with the provisions of that current agreement. Los Altos Hills can commence discussion for a successor agreement with the county, thereby seeking continuation of the fire and emergency medical services and the same operational structure for residents and the community. Today, county officials, the fire chief Kirkow, and I met to discuss a plan of action for Los Altos Hills County Fire District and Santa Clara County Fire Department to continue this 30-year successful partnership. We will take responsibility for the future of Los Altos Hills County Fire District to provide fire and emergency protection to residents and to provide sustainable and consistent standards of internationally accredited fire service. We can immediately enter into discussions with County Fire utilizing the current 10-year fire service agreement as a template for a successor agreement. We can consider a few updates to the current agreement and bring the agreement back to the Board of Commissioners at the February 17th Commission meeting for consideration. This is a similar result as if the current 10-year agreement would have automatically rolled over for the next 10 years, which we were anticipating would occur. The proposed successor agreement would be between Los Altos Hills County Fire District, County Fire Department, and approved by the County Board of Supervisors. So with that as speaking points, I appreciate your comments and your consensus to move this plan of action forward. Thank you.
Start with Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner, General Manager Logan. I, for one, would wholeheartedly support the idea of moving forward with a successor agreement with County Fire. I think that we are very fortunate to have them as a partner, strategic partner of ours, to work with. Their professionalism, the service they deliver to the district, and the engagement we have, the cooperative engagement. Disappointed in what we see out of our neighbors in Los Altos, but that's not for me to do anything about. So what I'm supportive of the successor agreement and moving that forward rapidly. I think we have a great partnership with Central Fire and would like to see us move that forward productively.
Other comments?
I actually have a question.
Please.
So what are the pros and cons of doing this?
The pros and cons of what? Excuse me?
Of going ahead and entering into this agreement? Every agreement has pros and cons. Like earlier, we had Los Altos as a tri-party agreement. So now that Los Altos is no longer part of this agreement,
Yes,
what are the consequences
Yes.
for us as a town? And what are the pros and cons?
So I'll reach back into my background. In 2010, I was brought in by City of Los Altos to help with the fire services agreement. So I became very familiar with the fire services agreement at that particular point in time as a member of the City of Los Altos. Convened a consultant and we did a fire service study. And then in 2016, that was the second term of the 10-year agreement. So it was 20 years. That agreement then needed to be reviewed and brought between the parties if it would move forward into a third year, which we're in now. And I was, one of the main conveners of that negotiations. During that whole time, what I saw was an excellent agreement that could benefit all the parties and could leverage the benefits of Central Fire, which again, has all of the kind of accreditation that I think our residents would expect in fire services and medical protection. So, we wrote it, the last 3-year agreement, we wrote with a evergreen that it would just roll over for the next 10-year sequence unless someone opted out, which they did. So that's the con to it, is in opting out, now we don't have that rollover provision of a 30 years of successful agreements. And so now what we do is we could bifurcate because the two parties, the two agencies are not intertwined. It was written to be bifurcated because any of the parties could have dropped out. And so then we can just, the advantage is now we can move forward with that agreement. As far as, that to me is the pro. I don't see really any of the cons to it. Unless I can answer any questions for you.
When you enter into an agreement of this magnitude, I think we need to have more than just one meeting to endorse a decision. I think, we need to have a discussion. What are our options? What are the pros of an agreement? What are the cons? And we probably will agree on this. But I think it behooves us to have a proper conversation regarding this. We can't just be agreeing to everything in one sentence and one meeting. I feel, it does not make us look good as the custodians of the faith of the residents of Los Altos Hills. I think we need a kind of a debate, conversation, in-depth analysis.
And so we're not agreeing to anything here tonight,
I'm
other
just
than
saying,
allowing her to continue conversations with
all I'm saying is let's have a public conversation and to understand what the ramifications are. Why did Los Altos withdraw from the contract? Cities don't make these decisions lightly. What happened? Is there something we should be aware of? What are other options? What are the negatives? What are the positives? I really feel we should have that conversation. In good conscience and good faith, I don't feel confident saying, let's just go ahead and do it. And again, like I said, we probably will do it, but I think it's important to have a conversation and a debate on this.
The comments, Toby?
I'm speaking from my heart and my mind, my personal and professional experience. I feel we are blessed to have County Fire as our fire service. They're a nationally certified, recognized fire department. They do hazardous materials. They do confined space rescue. Say a worker goes in a water tank and it's a low oxygen level. They have the training to rescue that person. You know, they're paramedics, they're firefighters. I mean, they do things you can't even imagine. I mean, you know, you'd be surprised. And being in an organization that was looking at other alternatives and seeing really that there was nothing better. I mean, even what I had or what we had at the time would have been better going to County Fire. I mean, I'm just 100% supporting County Fire. I agree with you. I understand we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
But
I'm
this
not opposed to it.
organization,
I
we
just
are
feel we need to have.
so fortunate to have such high quality people who will readily give their lives to save us, and they don't even know us. So thank you.
Yeah, comments, please.
You know, I don't think we can really comment on why Los Altos is pulling away from this. I don't assume that they did it out of any special wisdom. I should have said that better. What I can add in terms of history is I was here 10 years ago and I was the chief negotiator for the district, which at the time had no employees. And my counterpart for Los Altos, oh man, that was a tough situation. Her name was Jay Logan. And so the two of us actually were negotiated, I think, a very fine contract with County Fire. But also at that time, we looked at, well, what else should we do? We should go to Palo Alto, go to all these other things. And I would say, yes, if you have a whole bunch of great options, you owe it to yourself to do that. But on the other hand, we only have so much time and energy to put into something. If you know you've got a partner you'd like to work with, then let's tighten up that agreement and move it forward. And so I would be in favor of proceeding with that. And I guess that summarizes all of it. I guess I've been in this for a long time, and I've managed a lot of contract service agreements even before that. And so I'm quite comfortable that this is a solid place to start, and then we refine it.
Nope.
I think, if I may speak, I think all the key points have been mentioned. I just wanted to talk about my feelings when I saw the fact that this issue is coming up. I was actually worried because, you know, I live in Pagemill Road. It's a huge fire trap, roadway and so forth. And I was actually worried that what are we going to do, find ourselves without this agreement? And truthfully, I think Los Altos probably did what they thought in their infinite wisdom is good for them. Maybe they want to pair up in another, get acquired or pair up with another fire district. But in our case, we don't really have a lot of options. You know, we're talking about what options do we have? We don't really have a lot of options. As it turned out, the option that we are opting for is a superb option, as Commissioner McDonald pointed out. So in my viewpoint, I think, you know, I'm all in favor of this, getting this done and moving on forward. And I really commend GM Logan for having stepped forward and worked with the county to try to make this happen. So thank you.
Again, we're just, good. Okay. Yeah, but again, we're just providing direction, and you're hearing a amount of direction here. I will add one thing here, if I could. I'll wait till the end. You mentioned for pros and cons. I'm not, without advocating, I'm just saying that one comment we didn't mention here is that in there, you asked about why Los Altos did that. In their letter, the first thing they mentioned was they want to investigate getting out of the fire business altogether and having the county take them over, which is obviously
Which is good. It's good to know.
and that's not an option for us, obviously, because that means
Like I said, we will probably make the same decision, but you've got to take everybody along when, you know,
Right. But that
Sure
particular,
that everybody's comfortable. Like several of you might have been when you negotiated the first contract, but there were people who are not on it,
right,
who don't have the the background. And similar way, a lot of your residents don't have the same background. So I think it behooves us to take everybody along.
totally agree.
You know?
I was just trying to
And
offer that that's one reason that makes no structural sense for us, because that would be like saying we're just going to go away.
I get it. But I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's good to explore. I'm not saying we spend a lot of money in it, but just to, spend some time talking about what are the options.
The other pro I'll just mention is that we've been doing, our finance team especially we've been doing long-term planning to make sure that we really can utilize all our finances correctly, and having something in place that lets us do our planning to do a new facility, to handle all the growth of housing and so forth in the north area. All that's based on having a predictable contract, which is one nice thing financially for us, is because that contract specifies our max growth every year, our max expenses, and we can really plan on that. So a contract is a useful thing for us to have to continue our that's one of pro.
So Roger, I get it.
Yeah.
But remember, none of Los Altos Hills residents show up to this meeting. Believe me, they'll show up city council meeting.
Yeah.
And then people who sit on the council may not have the expertise or enough data points to be able to alleviate their concerns and answer their questions. So if your own commissioners don't have enough data points to validate our decisions, I think there's a problem. So I think it's important to give us the tools to defend and support this decision, but we can only do it when we understand what's at stake here, what is going on, and just being able to be comfortable with the decision ourselves and then to support it. This will happen at a city council meeting. I've got enough text messages and emails on this. So believe me, it's important to diffuse things when they come up instead of just saying, we've been here, we negotiated the contract, we know what we're doing is right. It seems very top heavy. I think it's important to take everybody along.
Okay. Very, very good point. And again, no decisions being made tonight to make that very
Again, there's
clear.
nobody here from Los Altos Hills.
Right.
We're the ones getting all the comments, the concerns, right? They will show up at a city council meeting.
Would it be helpful for me to come back with a report, talking about the various options or the pros and cons? Would that be something that would be helpful?
Yeah, and at the next city council meeting, when you make your presentation, that should be the focus of your presentation. I think that will be really helpful.
Yeah, I'll be there on February 10th. So I can certainly, put some speaking points together on that, put speaking points together here, but then also the intention is to have an agreement also, with those speaking points.
It does not mean you stop negotiating with them, but you just have to take everybody along.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments here on the dais? No? Okay, great. Any public comments on this? Or you want to wait to an end of your...
No, thank you very much.
Any public comments? I see we have one.
Alan Epstein, I live in the district. As you know, I came here last October and I said to the commission, this contract is coming up for renewal. What are you doing about it? And you guys didn't say anything about it. Well, Los Altos had a resolution passed last October. You may have only heard about it last week, but they passed this resolution last October. And they're, quote, our partners in this contract. So it seems to me, with all due respect, you guys weren't on top of what you should have been on top of, because the number one responsibility for this commission is to provide fire protection services for us. Second thing I'll say to you is that while you can write a new agreement, anytime there's a fire in Los Altos Hills, 2/3 of the time, the fire truck that responds to the fire here comes from 2 stations in Los Altos, not from Station 74. So if those 2 stations end up going to some other fire department, and I'm not suggesting that's what's going to happen, but if they do, the number of fire engines that are close to Los Altos Hills is going to be reduced. I totally agree with you. The Santa Clara County Fire Department is an outstanding organization, but they can't teleport fire engines from South County up here, okay? It's proximity that makes fire departments work. And it's collaboration that makes fire department works, because as you know, when there's a house fire, you need at least 4 trucks to show up, because you need at least a dozen guys to go into that. And I'm talking to you because I know you're a fireman and you know the answer to that question. So if you eliminate those 2 stations, now you got 1 fire truck within range of Los Altos Hills. The others are coming from 20 minutes away. So you can write a new contract, but how are you going to replace the stations? How are you going to replace the fire engines? How are you going to replace the staff? So this is a big deal. This isn't just a little deal. And I think you guys should have been more on top of this. I looked at the resolution that the Los Altos passed. They did it on consent calendar, if you can believe this. They did it on consent. And there's no justification in it other than to charge the staff with the responsibility to come up with a lower cost solution or an alternative. The only good news we have is that the contract we have with Santa Clara County says they won't go away until someone else replaces them. So the good news is there's time. But you guys need to take action and get on top of it. The other thing I'd like to say about the general manager's report, I really would have liked to have heard about what's going on with the N5 sensors. I would like to have heard about what's going on with the fire station project. We hired a consultant over a year ago. We haven't heard anything about whether or not a new project has been issued, and now it may be much more important than it was before. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments online or?
No, I do not see any online.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, General Manager Logan. Moving on to item.
I think we still have more of the general manager report.
Yes.
Yeah.
Item C, I guess. Yeah.
Great. I believe the next slide. Perfect.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. That'd be Paige Russell. Thank you. Captain Russell.
Thank you very much, General Manager Logan, and good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person this evening to provide this update, but also to really give a shout out and to heap more compliments on Mike Salome. I've done a lot of HIZs in his neighborhood and have worked with him personally, and he's really just someone to be celebrated. So congratulations to Mike. It is my pleasure this evening to report that the HIZ assessment and rebate program advisory has been updated to reflect the program expansion that the commissioners, approved back in October. And the primary substantive change there is the expansion of the rebate eligibility period from 6 months to 2 years. And I want to take a moment just to familiarize those that are less familiar with the program. This gives residents more time to, after their HIZ assessment, to find a licensed contractor and to complete or have the rebate eligible items and mitigation work done. So for example, if a resident has an assessment today, then they would have a full 2 years from the date of that assessment to complete rebate eligible recommendations and other recommendations, of course. But in terms of that eligibility period, they could apply for a rebate. And I think it's worth noting that because residents are eligible to apply for 1 rebate per calendar year, this means that they could potentially apply for a rebate in both 2026 and 2027 on that assessment. So depending on their needs. So this is the 5th version of the advisory since it was first adopted in March of 2023. And, the updates always reflect significant program changes, but I also want to emphasize that we are continuously improving this program. We're strengthening the resources we provide to the residents, we're streamlining the internal processes, and really prioritizing timely and clear communication. So with that, speaking of communication, I just would like to move to the next slide to illustrate one way that we've been really leaning into this and improving communication and feedback. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I want to highlight, like I said, one way that we receive feedback from residents. And we always have a open office, if you will. Our phone lines are open. We have an HIZ@LAHCFD email that goes to a number of people. So again, it really, has improved our response time. We take real pride in getting back to people very rapidly. But we've made an improvement to another way that we're collecting information and data and feedback, and that's our customer satisfaction survey. And note that I'm calling it customer satisfaction survey, and I'll get to why I want to emphasize that in a second. So previously, the survey attempted to do, in my opinion, too many things. It combined satisfaction questions with self-reported actions. For example, do you plan on doing work in the next 6 months? Yes or no. Have you done work in the past? It kind of limited the usefulness of the data. And more importantly, that survey did not allow us to follow up with residents to close that feedback loop. So it was very frustrating for me personally. I would see something like, oh my God, I could solve that problem, but I have no way to reach this person. So when all those other ways failed, they didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't reach out to us by phone or didn't email us. And this was their only way to provide us with feedback. It was, I just felt like it was a miss to not be able to circle back. So with that said, we looked at this with all of our partners. So the Fire Safe Council, Fireside staff, our guest contributor, Edgar Martinez, who was fantastic. And we really looked at this old survey and designed our new survey to really focus solely on resident satisfaction, on key components of the program. So how was your experience with the assessor? How was your experience with the report? How's your experience with the technology? And the best thing about this is we can actually reach out to the residents. We can see, how to contact them. And we've already resolved. We basically reached out to all residents in 2025, sent them this survey so that we would have this data to compare next year so we can compare similar surveys. And we've received as many responses, actually a few more responses in that blast than we did all of last year on the old survey. So that's great. And then again, we've already resolved and circled back to all those residents and closed that communication loop, which is just I think, a success. And then what we've noted is our action-based measurements. So what are residents actually doing is far more reliably measured with, the after photos that are submitted through the rebate program. Some of our residents are documenting their actions because they want to document it for Firewise efforts or for insurance purposes. But I'd say the lion's share of our action taken collection, that data collection, is through that rebate program. So I feel really proud and fortunate that we have all these incentives, and I'm hearing that this is a challenge everywhere, that to get people to actually take action and then to have good data about how people are taking action, just noting that when people say I'm going to do something or I've done something. And we actually listened to a great presentation through the Fire Safe Council. Kate Wilkin is a professor there at San Jose State, and she dug into this very problem. And her recommendation was this whole going back out and reassessing and having the assessors actually, record the actions taken and having, surveys, satisfaction surveys be just that. So that was primarily what drove this change. And I'm going to talk a lot more about satisfaction and action taken, especially when we do our semi-annual. So I'm looking forward to digging more into that and other things, looking entirely at 2025. So with that, take a breath and answer any questions if anybody has any questions.
Any questions or comments here? Seeing none. Any public comments? Seeing none. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, the next slide on the general manager report is to give you an update on Concern EAP, Employee Assistance Program, and consultants, Martha Scott's going to talk on that.
Great. Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. The district is just completing its first year with this new vendor, which is a part of the benefits program available to all employees. And the district's had an opportunity to see if it's a good fit. And they've provided a variety of services which have been utilized by employees, as well as they participated in an organizational all-hands meeting in March, providing a session on strategies to strengthen resilience, which was very good. So as an informational item, the district is re-upping for another 2 years with Concern at a set cost of $5,000 a year. And so this is just for your information, and we'll continue to use these services through the district, and then employees and their families can access 24/7 on their own time at their convenience. So if there are any questions, we're happy to respond. Thank you.
Tina, thank you.
Thanks, Marcy. And the last presentation will be on the hydrant strike that we just had. And I'd like to introduce Operations Manager Aida Fairman.
Thank you, General Manager Logan. Good evening, President Spring, commissioners, fire district staff, and members of the public. Tonight, I'll be reporting on the first hydrant strike that happened in 2026. As we can see on the upper left photo, the hydrant was struck off its base on Stonebrook Drive and El Monte Road. So the process is Purisima Hills Water District staff notifies the district and also notifies our consultant, Friar Loretta. Friar Loretta goes to the field and then they prepare incident report. After that, they coordinate the construction or the repairs with C2R, the on-call contractor. As we can see on the bottom left photo, that's a in progress work. As of last week, the fire hydrant was reinstalled with a new breakaway check valve and two new boilers. Also in that photo, you can see the meticulous attention to detail where the consultant is noting that the caps on top of the bollards are still, those are punch list items as well as the tape, reflective tape. I got notified this morning with a new photo that last Saturday, those punch list items were completed. So the entire repair and the construction has been completed. As far as the claim status that's pending, the fire district has a system in place to recover all the costs associated with the repairs of fire hydrant damage. I also would like to report on a second incident that we just got information from Purisima Hills this morning. That one was damage of 2 bollards that got hit at Arrastadero Road and across Tracy Court. So we'll be providing more details on that at a future meeting. That concludes my presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Question? So was the car that did this still there? It wasn't a hit and run, so we know who did it. We've made claims with their insurance.
Correct. So Edgar Martinez from our staff, we have the number from the sheriff's report, and he requested that report last week, and it takes 10 to 15 days to get that report, and that's part of the claim system in the process. So all the information is there. The car was still there, correct? And the report will be coming our way for review. And so, Mira.
Thank you. I think does quite a bit of damage to a car to hit that. So I'm glad they didn't just bump and go. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any public comments on those last 2 items, the EAP or the hydrant strike? Seeing none. Okay, great. Thank you. Moving on to item 9, receiving integrated hazardous fuel reduction presentation. This will be Programs Planning and Grants Manager Woods presenting this item.
Hey, here we are tonight. Sorry, on Zoom, and I've got things popping up in front of me. Here we go. I'm happy to have Mid-Penn come in tonight and give us an update. It's been a little bit too long, but we've had leadership changes. And of course, they've also met AIDA, so we've had changes on our side of the staffing too. And I'll first pass the baton to Michael Gorman in his new position to introduce the staff that will continue on as our liaisons for the district.
Give me 1 sec. I think I need to unmute. And
Yeah, he's
I've
on
lost
Zoom
my
too.
grid.
Okay,
There we go.
thank you. I was trying to unmute there.
Wonderful.
I was trying to turn on my camera as well, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, I just want to introduce myself. So for the last 6 years, I was the area manager for the Foothills area, and I had the pleasure of working with some of the staff from the Los Altos Hills County Fire District, notably Eugenia, Denise, and a few others. And just this last summer, I was promoted to department manager for a new department within Mid-Peninsula, and that's the Land Stewardship and Trails Department. And following my promotion, we had a successful recruitment to backfill my position, and that is Cody Fickus, who's now the area manager for the Foothill area. So he will introduce himself later. And also, I just wanted to give a shout out then as well to Chelsea Young. She's the field resource specialist for Mid-Penn within the Foothills area as well. So with further ado, I'll hand it over to them to give the presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. It's great to see some familiar faces tonight and then a lot of new ones. My name's Cody Fickus. I'm the new area manager for our Foothills area with Mid-Penn. I've been with the district for about 13 years now, and I really love the work that we do at Mid-Penn. And one of the things I'm very aware of is the great relationship that we have with your district. And I'm really excited for the presentation that Chelsea's going to give tonight, kind of talking about the fruits of this relationship. And I just excited to meet you guys and look forward to carrying on this relationship. So thank you. Chelsea.
Good evening, everyone. Chelsea Young. I'm the field resources specialist for the Foothills area, as Michael Gorman said. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm going to discuss two big projects. One of them is in the process of wrapping up this month, and another one was completed at the end of last year. One of the projects is in Rancho San Antonio, which is within the Foothills area where I work with my crew. And the other project is one that's on Page Mill Road, which is actually our Skyline field office. And my counterpart, Christian Bonner up there, completed that project with his crew. But he wasn't able to be here tonight, so I'll be presenting on both. Next slide, please. So all of you are probably very familiar at this point with the Los Altos Hills Community Strategic Fuel Break project that was conceptualized in 2021. And since then, a lot of people have moved around, but are still sort of part of this project. I know Eugenia was with the Fire Safe Council at the time. I came on board to Hidden Villa actually in 2022 and found myself kind of full circle back at Mid-Penn. And I got to have a hand in a big portion of the fuel break that was along our Chemise Trail in Rancho San Antonio. Folks that live here in the area might be familiar with that preserve, might have been hiking out on the trails and seen some of the changes over the past several months. So these maps here, the one on the bottom left of the screen sort of shows a sort of zoomed out image of where that fuel break was designed to go. And then the larger map on the screen demonstrates our district boundary for Rancho San Antonio open space. And then the line that you see in yellow is work that has been completed to date. And the areas with purple are where work is ongoing starting tomorrow, actually. So this project was done by a combination of our resource management crew and some contractor tree service work for some of the other more technical stuff. This project has some complexities with it, including a few different fuel types. So up at the top where you see Zone 1, there's an area of the Black Mountain Trail, and that contains some more shrub kind of plants, manzanita, chaparral kind of plants. And then in the bigger area there, that's a grassland meadow. And then from there, moving into zone 2, it's more of sort of an oak woodland. So the type of treatment we do in these areas varies based on what's best for the different habitat types. And then once you get down to zone 3, that's more shrubs, low plants and everything. And then zone 4 is more of a corridor along a creek. And that's where we do a lot of our annual maintenance and trail brushing too, because we have vegetation that's very fast growing close to the water there. So it was a complex project, different vegetation types, and the approach we take is an ecologically sensitive vegetation management approach. It's a bit of a mouthful. And that means that before we undertake any effort to remove vegetation, it goes through a lot of review and planning and permitting processes and surveys to see what special status species might be there, what plants are there. If we're working during certain times of the year, we have surveys for nesting birds to make sure we're not negatively impacting any species like that. So coming up on the next couple of slides, I have some numbers and some before and after pictures. So this picture is sort of that top area there, the grassland with part of the trail growing through it. And so this project was a strategic fuel break. Parts of it are what we would consider a shaded fuel break. We removed the understory, but didn't totally clear cut areas. Obviously in the areas that don't have as many tall trees, that are more shrubs, it's not very shaded, but again, taking that approach of not clear cutting, leaving some vegetation. So it's more of a park-like setting, but will also provide the benefits of reduced vegetation and create a space for firefighters to be able to make more of a stand if a fire does burn through up into that point. And we've treated 43 acres so far on the Chemise Trail as a part of this project. Next slide, please. Yeah. So here's a before and after that really demonstrates some of the work in some of the oak areas. You can see that circle, sort of the before and after the effects. We've created more of this park-like setting where there's still plenty of vegetation there, but we've just cleaned it up a little bit, cleaned up those ladder fuels, as I've heard mentioned earlier, and just creating horizontal and vertical space so that if a fire does either come through our preserve and get to this area, or if one were to start in this area, it would hopefully stay low to the ground and be a low intensity fire as opposed to growing into something much larger. Next slide, please. So here's another really stark before and after picture. The top one, you can barely even tell there's a couple of trees hiding in there. This is actually the same area. The perspective is slightly different, but I'm not trying to trick anyone. This is the same spot. The before and after, you can kind of see the shape of the tree, at least the one on the left, but that one on the right is totally obstructed in the top picture. But then what you see afterwards is just a really nice result. And it might look pretty stark right now, but if you've been hiking recently, you can see some stuff is already popping back up. And, within this year, it won't look like as much of a sort of barren area on the ground. Stuff will start coming back, but we will still have more of that separation between the ground and the canopy. And this whole project will go into a maintenance interval. As I mentioned, the different vegetation types, the different sections sort of need to be maintained at different frequencies. And so we have the trail divided up into these different sections. And the idea is sort of each year revisiting a part of the trail based on the frequency that things grow back in the different areas. Next slide, please. So the next project I'm talking about is the Page Mill Road Emergency Escape Route Hardening Project. So hardening an escape route is clearing some of that excess vegetation that's along a roadway that is a primary evacuation route or a secondary route out of a community. In this case, Page Mill Road, we have a lot of three preserves actually, that border this upper part of the road, or the road sort of goes right through it. So that's the Foothills Preserve, Los Trancos, and Montebello. And so we worked in conjunction with the Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council, and also Palo Alto Parks has some land in that area. So we worked in conjunction to clear parts of this roadway. Again, with that ecologically sensitive vegetation management approach, we're being selective as to the vegetation we're taking and trying to leave some of the native species alone and also doing surveys for plants and animals, really trying to make sure that we're balancing the need for fuel reduction and wildfire resilience, but also making sure that we keep the health of the ecosystems intact so we don't end up creating larger problems down the road. And this treatment was within 50 to 100 feet of the roadway and approximately 51 acres of area treated. If you've driven up there recently, I had an opportunity to go up to our Skyline Field office last week, and driving up, seeing the work, it's really incredible, the difference. In that area, again, there's some varied fuel types, but just driving the road, it's very park-like and feels more spacious and open there. And so that was completed with our crew from our resource management crew from our Skyline office. Again, Christian Bonner is my counterpart up there that leads that crew. We both have crews that work on projects like this, as well as using contractors in some of the other areas associated as well. And so next I have a couple of before and afters from this one. You can see, again, very stark, just a lot of that vegetation just taken out of there. And you can see the light coming through the trees in the after photo. And it's I would say night and day. One is lighter and one's darker. So it might actually be night and day in those pictures. But next one, please. And then this one as well. You can really, in the first one, you can't see any of the ground there. But then the second one, there's that horizontal and vertical spacing that allows for lower intensity fire to move through the area, as would have been the case in the past when there wasn't as much vegetation built up. Next. And so next, Eugenia is going to talk about some of the projects that the district has coming up and how the work that we've done on our preserves connects to some of that to sort of create this more contiguous treatment that creates a network of fuel breaks and hardened evacuation routes to sort of connect to each other.
Thank you. I think Chelsea said it all. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you all again for coming to our meeting. And next, just a little review. We haven't looked at this as much last year. The last time that we put this full length of Page Mill Road in front of you was in 2024 when the last cycle was completed. And you may recall that it took 6 agencies to put the entire length of the Page Mill work together from I-280 to Highway 35 because it runs through so many jurisdictions. So this map is a touch busy, but so is Page Mill because there's many different jurisdictions. Each color in this map along the road that runs through the center is a different agency. So you can tell the collaboration that needs to happen to keep the maintenance on a, semi-annual cycle. The thing that we're really proud of this year is adding the Page Mill interchange to the length of this evacuation route. It's going to be the first area treated under our I-280 secretarial suspension, and it starts next month. And so now not only can we get you safely between the highways, we can get you safely onto Interstate 280 after next month. And I have talked with some of the project management over at the Fire Safe Council and, of course, with Palo Alto and Mid-Penn. And you can see the boxes represent who's done what since our 2023-24 completion of this length of roadway and what's coming up. So we did complete portions of it 25 and early 26, and here's partners with scheduled work in the upper right box, and then the partners with future work that doesn't actually have a date yet. So huge collaboration, so pleased that it's continuing again 2 years later to keep this the heavy lift of the first time and now on a maintenance cycle. So many people working together. So thanks to all the partners here and to the Commission for just letting us move forward and build these and keep these regional efforts going forward.
Thank you very much. Any comments here from the, Toby?
I just have one comment. I wanted to thank you personally, and if you could pass it on to all of your coworkers Many people probably don't know, but over the years, Mid-Penn monitors Palo Alto Fire, Santa Clara County Fire, Cal Fire, and they have been so helpful on traumatic vehicle accidents, motorcycle accidents, setting up helicopter landing zones, traffic control. I mean, you guys are priceless. So please thank everybody. That's all.
Comments?
Yeah, I have a question because I couldn't tell from the slides. The Mid-Penn work that you described was all done and organized completely by Mid-Penn. Is that because that I couldn't tell what fire district's relationship to it was, other than perhaps the way they join together and collaborate, but I don't know any more about things like sharing best practices or best contractors or anything like that. Have you got any info on that?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So the primary connection there is through our wildfire resiliency program that started around 2021, 2022. We have a way of prioritizing projects that's essentially an algorithm that takes into account a lot of different factors. If anyone's curious what that is for our fuel reduction projects and for our vegetation management areas, we separate those out a little bit differently, but our factors that go into that analysis are listed in our CWPP annex, the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. But one of the key components to that is that each year we gather recommendations from the various fire agencies, Santa Clara County Fire, Cal Fire, Los Altos Hills Fire District. And this project was sort of born out of both the Fire Safe Council and Los Altos Fire District saying, you know, hey, we have an idea for this fuel break and parts of it happen to go right through your land. What do you think? And then through that, because Mid-Penn was in the process of putting together a CEQA document to have this robust wildfire resiliency program, we were able to take that recommendation and really run with it. And in-house through our natural resources team, bring on contractors to do all those surveys. And then the majority of the work was done in-house with our crews as well, consulting with Eugenia and Jay and Aida throughout the process.
Great. Glad to hear it. Thank you.
One thing for you, we also share best practices. So we get a lot of input from Mid-Penn, especially on invasive species and things like that for our practice. And, you know, it raises our ecological awareness in the area. And then in reverse, we concentrate on wildfire and bring that to them. So we do exchange best practices, especially for invasive species and changes that are happening as we see drought and climate change and things like that.
Any other comments here? Oh, I see. Jim?
I have a question.
Please.
For Eugenia.
Mm-hmm.
What I was wondering, do you have a uniform maintenance frequency schedule for all the areas that you more or less do the road evacuation or other forms of fire protection?
We do, generally, we target every 2 years. That's the cycle. And then, of course, you're aware of the Flashy Fuels program where if the roadside grasses fill in before 2 years, we have the opportunity to activate that. And through the drone analysis, we also watch what regrows on the anniversaries. So the in-between years that aren't treated, in case we do get an area that needs to be accelerated and treated every year for, you know, various reasons. So we do every 2 years pretty much automatically and then analyze the vegetation with the drones in the interim anniversary year.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Any other comments here? Nope. I'll say one thing, which is that back in 2020, when the idea of putting a circle around the entire district with a fuel break was an audacious, almost insane idea to think could this really be done. We never thought it's that big, but doing it required collaboration with other partners. I mean, because so much of it is Mid-Penn, and so to see that this has really come true is just my thanks go out to Mid-Penn for really being a part of this, and we as a district are so thankful to have such a great collaboration relationship with you. I mean, I live right next to you guys, so I'm already think I have that, but as a district, this has just been an amazing thing. So I think everyone should be really proud of that vision is coming true. And it really is major impact for residents to feel like here's a big project that was thought of, and 5 years later has really made impacts on what our overall safety is. So I'm really impressed by this.
Yeah, if I can make a comment also, and I'm glad that you hearken back to those days, because when we first started out with our vegetation mitigation, it was pretty strictly just getting out and removing vegetation and, widening the roads, just doing more of a traditional vegetation approach. And the community strategic fuel break idea came along, as you mentioned. And then I recall that one of our managers was out of town, and so it left to me the opportunity to work with Michael Gorman at MidPenn. And when I started talking to Michael, and I remember it very well because it was on a Saturday, and I'm thinking, well, I not understand why I'm doing work on a Saturday, but why is somebody else doing work on a Saturday? We spent probably the whole morning talking, and I realized that we had different vocabularies. Our vocabulary was more the fire science. We've got to get these fire fuels out of here. His vocabulary was more the ecological. And that convinced me and made me realize that we needed to come more harmoniously together in our approach to preserve the ecology, preserve the environment as we did our work. And that's really what has turned out to be what you're seeing now, this wonderful collaboration, the relationships we've built with MidPenn, that they support so much of our common boundaries, and we can do this work together. And thank you for the question, because it's been that exchange of perspectives and different ideologies that have come to the center line and made us better, I think, for all that we do. And it's really been very, very remarkable. So I wanted to kind of put that background in there too. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any comments here? So, the public comments. I see we have one.
Alan Epstein, thank you very much for the work that you've done. Very much appreciate that. And it's really very critical for us. I noticed that one part of the chart showed some future work to be done along Ravensbury. I'm curious if that work will be done before the upcoming fire season. My second question, and I am directing them to you, hopefully you'll ask them, hopefully you'll ask them to answer them. Between Hidden Villa and the Page Mill, is there more that belongs to the open space that could be worked on in terms of adding to the fuel break area? And then what are their plans for N5 sensors, if they have any plans for N5 sensors? And I'd be curious what the cost of these programs were, and I can email them too, by the way. So thank you very much.
Okay. If you're welcome to come and answer if you want to address any of those. You don't have to address any or all of them. If not, we'll get them offline.
Okay. The first question,
Ravensbury, you think
Ravensbury. Yeah, thank you. So Ravensbury will be happening within the next month or so. So well before the fire season starts. And the second question,
is there anything between Hidden Villa and?
No. Yeah, we don't have any plans for that.
Right.
On our
Can
side
I
of things.
pitch in and help you
Please.
support you on that a little bit? There's a tiny
sure.
little section from the boundary of Hidden Villa to actually reaching Page Mill. It's really short, a quarter mile, maybe half mile. Correct me, Chelsea, you just drove it. But we did have the opportunity when you asked us what else we'd like to see in the work plan last year when you invited us for that. We did ask for that small section, and wonderful that you're just like, yep, we'll take care of that too. So teeny little spot up there. Sorry, Cody.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. I guess we'll be moving on then to item 10. This is the big one of the day. At 10A and 10 through 10C, our presentation of the fiscal year 26-27 draft budget narrative, and the draft budget for work plan service areas. And this will be Finance and IT Manager Morreale presenting these items for us. Thank you.
President Spreen, Vice President McDonald, members of the Commission, good evening. It's a pleasure to present the draft budget for fiscal year 26-27. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we started this planning back in August and September of last year. This is our third public meeting on the budget. Last time we met, we presented a preliminary budget, which in fact, the name of it says it all. It was preliminary. And tonight is the draft. And tonight is a springboard. After tonight, we basically officially start to move into the county budget approval process. Having said that, General Manager Logan and I have had several discussions with the county and OBA as we prepared this draft budget as well. So with that, to the next slide, please. So the actions tonight, it's really a lot of receives. You'll be receiving this draft budget presentation. At the same time, you have a narrative in front of you. And the narrative really is the message. You can probably get more from the narrative than you can get from me speaking. The intent of the narrative is to give you an executive summary of what the mission of the resource uses are for the fiscal plan. And then it's more. It also provides the budget detail and the budget summary. So the narrative is a critical document. We also put supplementally, we started this about 2 years ago, we created a service area budget. And that is really coming to life internally. When we meet at our planning sessions, we go through many things at the planning sessions, but we go through work plans, and the work plans are translated into budgets by service area manager. So the service area managers are really taking hold of the budget dollars and helping us formulate them. That's what the service area budget is trying to reflect. Having said that, it's not something we officially adopt or ask you to adopt, but it really supplements the view. It's also giving you a picture of where we're going into the future as we develop our financial systems and our budgetary systems as well. The only action tonight is to authorize Exhibit A, which is that line item, very detailed line item presentation of the budget. That will be officially sent preliminarily to OBA tomorrow so they can start putting the data into their system. We also will be forwarding to them the narrative, and that's more informational, if you will. So those are the items on the agenda this evening. So again, the 3 items in your packet are the narrative. Exhibit A, which I just mentioned, which is that detailed line item budget, is in the middle. It's that very long accounting-like type of document. We typically only present to the county the green colored column. That's all they really need to know. And if you can envision, as soon as they receive this, they start putting it into their general ledger system as well. The service area budget is the one to the very right. And we'll talk about that tonight because you'll see, I find it a very informative document because if you look at each page by each service area, it basically takes the work plan and it indicates, well, if each manager in each area is going to accomplish this, where are the dollars to allow them to accomplish it? So it really brings the budget to life from my perspective as well. Next slide, please. So what do I want to talk about tonight? It's going to be an interesting discussion tonight because I'll be talking about numbers from a couple different perspectives. First of all, I want to answer the question, how have the numbers changed? But my first lens and perspective on this is how did it change from the last time we gave you the preliminary draft? So I'll talk about that. How did it change from November 18th? I also want to take the view of the County Office of Budget and Analysis and present the data tonight as we will be presenting it to them. In other words, what does the county look for when we present the budget to them, and how does this blend into their budget process, which is quite involved, quite extensive, and quite impressive, actually, as you look at the large scale of budget that they have to formulate. And then we'll talk about next steps. So that's really the objective of tonight's meeting. Next slide, please. The approach has not changed. I'm glad to mention the approach has not changed. We are presenting a budget with no increase in FTEs. But at the same time, we are leveraging contract and temporary employee services. You'll see that's one of the areas that we enhanced in the budget because we have the fiscal year 26-27. One of the themes of this year is that there are major projects on task to be completed. And we'll talk about those projects, although I know you know what they are. So it really is a year of major life and property safety projects. But at the same time, you've heard tonight about the evacuation routes. You've heard tonight about HIZ. We're talking about I-280. This budget does not lose the posture that we have to keep the momentum going on those very successful projects and programs, and some that are growing. HIZ in particular is skyrocketing in terms of its popularity and use and impact on the community. I want to talk about reorganization because we didn't talk about it much last time, but you'll see as you look at the budget document that we have internally reorganized and restructured our organization chart to really accomplish what we need to be accomplished. So we'll talk about that about today. There is one big dollar change, but not a substantive change in terms of fund balance, is the fire truck. Last time I presented as an allocation, 2.3 million, and I put that in the line items. In our discussions with the county, they still prefer to deal with that as a rollover. So what happens, if you can envision, that expenditure goes from above the line to below the line. So it drops out of expenditure, goes back into commitment with the understanding with the county that when that payment is actually made, then we will go back to the county and propose a budget adjustment at that time. At the end of the day, we end up in the same spot, but it's a much different presentation. And we continue to look for the gaps between budget and actual and narrow those gaps with time. We can't do it all in 1 year, but I think we're getting closer with each passing year. And this budget also plans for unknowns as well and emergencies. By the way, if you have questions anytime during this presentation, feel free just ask as well. With that, let's talk about reorganization. I didn't speak about it much last time. We have these things, we affectionately call internally the blue bars. And the blue bars are basically our service areas. You may notice last time we had 8. And what we did with the change in staffing this particular year, we had the outreach service area, which we've blended into the other areas, particularly blended into a community education, risk reduction, emergency preparation, and planning projects, grants, and outreach as well. So those dollars moved into those areas and the responsibilities shifted into those areas as well. A little piece went to finance in terms of some technology bits that moved into there. But you'll see now with the work plan, and I think you saw this in work plan version 3, the 7 blue bars now became 6, and you'll see that in the service area budget as well. With the next slide. And this is what it looks like in terms of an organization chart. We do have the service areas listed here. The operational service areas are really 4. If you look at the columns, you'll see planning programs and grants program. You'll see community education, risk reduction. You'll see finance and technology. And you'll also see operations and administration in the top tier, if you will. So that is how our organization chart has changed over this year. And the reason why that's important is that when we met at our planning session this past, I think it was August, we looked at it through this lens. And we said, okay, how are the duties shifting and how are the dollars shifting as well? And everyone involved, the managers in particular, Eugenia and Denise and Aida and myself and Jay obviously put a lot of time and attention into that question, how to reallocate responsibilities, how to reallocate dollars. And next slide, please. Hi, hello. In terms of staffing, again, we are taking a level budget approach this year, and we really wanted to respect what's the challenges that are happening at the state level and the county level economically. As you know, the state has fiscal challenges. The county has fiscal challenges. You can see that in the county reports as well. So we wanted to respect that process, and we should. We're a subunit of the county. So we really are presented a budget that is pretty much level, pretty much steady state. But that doesn't mean that we didn't shift our staffing in terms of allowing us to achieve our goals. So what you'll see here is 13.5 FTEs remain the same. There were 13.5 full-time equivalents last year, 13.5 full-time equivalents this year. But what you will see, though, in our reorganization of the outreach team is we shifted dollars into these other new positions, which have already been approved by this particular commission. General Manager Logan was generous in this regard in that she had these vacancies in her area, and they translated into new positions. So, for instance, the former emergency services manager position now translated into funding a full-time community education risk manager position, which is Denise. It also created this very valuable new CERR specialist position, which is Debbie Stoksick. So that's how that change took place. If you look at the vacant project specialist position, that translated into the IHFR specialist, which is Anya Nazarova, and our finance program specialist, which is Jane Corpus. So those changes, although dollar-wise, it's very compatible and consistent with last year. FTE-wise, it completely matches last year. It shows how this organization is always looking at continual improvement. It's always looking to be nimble and react to what's needed, and the focus being delivery of outcomes and services. So much for reorganization, but it could be lost if I didn't mention it, but that's really an important part of this whole budget discussion. Next slide, please. So if we look our budget in terms of fiscal priorities, they're still the same. They haven't changed. In fact, they've been enhanced. 75% of every dollar we spend, and these are direct dollars. In other words, direct contract dollars that go into life and property safety. 75% of the entire budget goes to that purpose. 25% goes to a combination of staffing, professional services, and operations. So that is our mix of the budget as you look at it. And as I mentioned last year, and I mentioned every year, we don't go through the process here of allocating staff time to particular project areas. We could, but we don't do that at this point in time. But if you did, I suspect your dollars related specifically to life and property is going to be well in the 80% range, probably 82 to 85%. So very little low administration cost in this, and very high a level of dollars that go directly to the outcome that is the mission of the district. Next slide, please. This is how it compares to last year. 75% this year, 73% last year. So you can see we even enhanced that a bit as well. Obviously, the difference in the percentage is most likely going to be because the I-280 is a bit larger this year as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so now this is where it may get a little complicated, but I'll try to get through this as easily as I can. What I'm trying to address here is what has changed from the preliminary draft. In other words, when I brought the document to you in November, if you put the documents side by side, and we'll rust what numbers changed. This is explaining it. So the first are revenues. We did receive the revenue estimates from the county as we expected in December. And essentially, at the bottom line is if you take, the county gives us two updated estimates. They update the estimate for 25-26. And at the same time, they update the estimate for 26-27 at their projection. And between those two estimates, revenue basically, or the impact on the fund balance is just almost $900,000. So for 25-26, they bumped up their projections in terms of what they expect by June by $575,000. And for fiscal year 26-27, their latest estimate, and we'll probably get one more from them, but it won't be very large, I don't suspect. They enhanced that by $489,000. So you can see almost $1 million in revenue adjustments from the county. I also moderated interest income. I brought interest income down a little bit. Reason being that staying true to the direction of the budget, if the budget projections come true, and if these major dollar expenditures are spent, we expect a use of fund balance. And at the same time, I do expect economically a moderation of interest rates. The Fed has talked about and pointed to the fact that there may be some rate decreases over time. So I basically projected that. So if you look at what this means, the county projects 5.34% property tax growth in fiscal year 25-26. That was the last report they gave to us. The county projects 2.9% property tax growth in 26-27. So they're moderating their property tax growth in 26-27. And on the investment pools, and we invest our the district money with the county pool, I averaged about 3.25% interest yield on that. So that's where these numbers came from. So if you compared the November report revenue to this revenue tonight, you'll see that's the difference, $896,000, $896,951. Okay, but expenses changed as well. And so we went through and staff went through and did another second pass in our attempt to moderate the budgets for fiscal year 25-26. We cut down some of our estimates, especially as it related to fire emergencies, fire contingencies, which means to say that the contingencies are still in the budget, but we don't expect that those will be used fully by the end of the year. So we made some moderations, and then we made some adjustments to services and supplies for fiscal year 25-26. The big change, of course, is the fire truck, which I've now pulled out of the line items. So if that's a big sizable change. If you compared it to last time, the expenditures now do not include that 2.3 that moves back into commitments under fund balances. There's a myriad of other small changes, about $4,000 that we tweaked between now and then on the line items, but essentially that is a change. There was a member of the public that correctly pointed out last time that the 2.3 probably would be handled by the county as a rollover, and that individual, I think Mr. Epstein was correct in that the assumption that that's the posture that they would have. So we have made that change. So with that, if you were to add up both of those changes, the impact on fund balance basically between this time and last time is about $3.3 million. So last time we had a preliminary draft fund balance of 43.183. It's now 46.489. And you can see that the bulk of that change is the $2.3 million change, plus it's the revenue as well. So you take those two numbers together and voila, there is your number. So I'll pause there for a minute because I know that's a bit complex, but I want to see if that was understandable in terms of what's changed. Okay, thank you. Okay, so it is a level budget. And as I mentioned, we're very cognizant of what's happening at the state and county level. So if you look at this budget in total, as it stands before you this evening, you have a 5.3% increase in revenue year to year. Now, when I say year to year, I am comparing last year's adopted budget, which was adopted at the commission level and the county level. And if you look at expenditures, we are essentially flat, a 1.01% increase between the years. So it truly is a status quo level budget, but it's not status quo from an accomplishment standpoint because all the resources are going to exactly the big projects that we have in mind as well. And I'll point those out to you in a bit. Next slide, please. There are some major assumptions in this budget. I spoke to it a bit last time. It reads very loudly in the narrative as well. But there are some key assumptions in this budget that one has to consider because they're material in terms of dollars. Of course, this budget includes the I-280 project. It is one of the single largest project dollars in this budget. It was last year and even the year before. So the budget includes $3.15 million for phase 3 of the I-280 project. That, by the way, is what we think is the final project phase because we believe this project will be completed in 2027. So we're really excited about the prospect of that fully being completed by that time. But having said that, this budget, if you combine all 3 years, assumes it's about a $6.9 million project. We've spent time, Ida and Eugenia and I have spent time with the TRC, our contract engineer, and we've talked about numbers initially, but we really won't know what those final numbers are until the end of January, I think early February, when the 95% engineering cost comes back to us. And ultimately, we really won't know until the RFP is finalized. So that is a major assumption that we have in here. I personally feel good about the numbers that we have, but we won't know until those numbers evolve and come through. So at this point, the 6.9 is in there. It seems to have a good, reasonable stance. but it is subject to change. And so we'll update this commission as we get those numbers. And Aida, I think we believe those numbers will be here end of January or early February, correct? Great. Thank you so much. Also, of course, it was a topic of discussion this evening. We assume, the continuation of the fire services contract, of course, and we assume that it continues at the steady state rates that we have at this point in time. As I'll get into later, the continuation of that contract at the rates obviously is something that we look at from a long-term planning standpoint as well. So that's also an assumption in here. I'm pleased to report that it seems like we're making great headway on the Palo Alto Station 8 contract. That seems to be just on the cusp of renewal. So that's one piece of the puzzle, although a much smaller piece. It's one piece of the puzzle that's in the queue. And lastly, we have assumed that the fire apparatus, that is the 2 fire engines and the 1 fire truck, we assume the 2 engines will be paid for, physically paid for via a bank payment in fiscal year 25-26 by June. That's the assumption. And we are assuming that the 1 fire truck, which is a $2.3 million, will be paid for in 26-27. So keep that in mind. Those are the variables out there that if they change, we'll shift and we'll make adjustments, but they are significant and they're in this particular budget. Next slide, please. So lastly, this is the budget that you have before you. We have revenue of $19.181 million, expenditures of $22.389, use of funds of $3.2 million as well, ending fund balance of $46,489,952. That's total fund balance. That's total committed, and that's total assigned as well. And I'll go through what those fund balances are as well. You'll notice this year as well, we started this last year. You may recall that we had this discussion about, do we create a capital improvement fund? And ultimately, we didn't create a capital improvement fund. But where we did land on with the county is this concept of a cost center. So you'll notice we broke the budget now. We have this break in the budget that's called infrastructure and major projects. And in that, you'll see the I-280 was $3,150,000, and you'll see our capital equipment as well. And we're finding that cost center is actually proving to be extremely valuable for us. In a way, it's achieving what we wanted to achieve with the capital improvement fund. And I want to thank the county for helping us navigate that process. So that's what you're seeing there as well. Next slide. A lot of numbers here. I won't go through all the numbers. This is basically the budget I've just presented, but I want to indicate the gray shaded items as well, because the gray shaded items is kind of where it's all happening in terms of if you compare year to year. So you can see we enhanced temporary wages in that particular area. You can see that also we have the normal cost increase for the fire and medical response contract services, that 5% increase that is contracted in, and we're confident in the fact that we know it'll be 5% because that's what's in the contract. We enhanced consulting services by about $111,000. And also the I-280 fuel break is $400,000 more than it was the last adopted budget at 3.15. Also, though, you'll notice that last year's budget had $715,000 for a fire facility study. It's not in this year, but I'll explain how we continue to get access to those dollars. And last year's budget had $250,000 for the programmatic environmental impact report. So really, if you wanted to ask again the question, what changed from last year, Russ? Well, it's in the gray bars. That's where it is. Next slide. Okay, this is where the cost center really meant a lot to me when I looked at it from this perspective. It's nice to say, and as you know, of finance managers and finance directors always want to say we have a balanced budget. And what we did is we said, well, oh my gosh, the cost center for infrastructure is telling us that. So what you have on the top dark row where it says total draft expenditures, you have total revenue, total expenditures, and you have use. But when you back out the I-280 one-time items, one-time assets, and facility maintenance, which we have in there for El Monte, you come up with a balanced budget, a budget that is $156,000 to the good. So we're in the black operationally, but it also tells us that when you add in the one-time items and the big items, of course, that's where your use of fund balance is most appropriate and also helps you when you look at your long-term forecasting as well. So for the very first time, because of this innovation with which the county helped us with, we can present to you that indeed we have an operational balance budget, which is nice to be able to say. Next slide, please. I think President Spreen mentioned to me how valuable this chart was to him, and it is to us too. This shows you the programs and projects. And I think one member of the public mentioned tonight, this evening, that, yeah, the programs and projects are so important to look at. And they are. They are. So this gives you a sense of where we are on projects and programs. And if you look at the budget for 26-27, you can see that we have not lost any resources when it comes to the big outcome-based projects. Look at defensible space chipping, look at the home ignition zone. I'll talk about that in a minute. Evacuation routes, the I-280 project, the hydrants. You can see here that those dollars for projects and programs are still robust. You'll see that HIZ, we've bolstered and we've strengthened because we know that that program is growing, and there may even be discussion in the future about increasing the rebate amount, but we planned for that as well. We still have a project contingency in here, especially with I-280, in the mix, but also with everything else going on. We felt having that contingency still is a good idea. But one thing you'll notice as well is that contingency went down. Well, it really didn't go down. You may recall last year we had the Flashy Fuels project as a pilot. We put that in contingency. This year we moved it from contingency into the evacuation route. So it now is formally part of our evacuation route program. And I applaud Eugenia for making that a reality, because it's now part of that. It enhances even further that IHFR program as well. So these are the projects and programs. You can also see here, I mentioned $6.9 million for the I-280. You can see if you add the 1 million, the 2,750,000, and the 3,150,000, there's your 6.9 that we are projecting for that particular project. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to take a different view and talk about the county. And talk about how the county looks at these budgets. And General Manager Logan and I will start having discussions as soon as this week, again with OBA, and we'll be going through the narratives, we'll be going through the line items, and we'll be translating our dollars into their vernacular, starting as early as this week as well. But I wanted to share with you what their vernacular is and how it looks. So I'll look at base budget, I'll look at one-time requests, and ongoing requests as well. Before I leave this slide, I've had initial discussions with the county. And as you know, their first step that the county takes is they look at last year's budget and they will reduce it by last year's one-time items. And they'll come up with a starting point. And then they'll say, okay, now talk to us again about what you need to add back in. Initially, in our initial discussions with the county, that starting base point budget is about $18.3 million. Okay, so the difference between the 18.3 and the 2022 that you see is going to be the mix in between, where we talk to them about what's in between and what needs to be adjusted as well. But that's the initial. I can't say that's going to be the final number. We still have to talk to them more. But initially, that's probably going to be where our base budget lands with them as we start our discussions. And it's a very prudent approach that the county takes, because they always bring you back to your baseline. And they always ask you to justify your increases, which is a very prudent fiscal approach to budgeting. Next slide, please. So from a county perspective, they would say, what items do we need to take out of the last year's base as our starting point? So we know what they need to take out. We think we're pretty close on this. They're going to take out the $715,000 for the fire facility design. That doesn't mean it comes out of the budget we're proposing to tonight. It just means it's their starting point. They're going to take out the PEIR. They're going to, in developing their baseline budget. We had certain upgrades for website upgrade and technology. They'll take that out as a starting point. We had some items in there for communication equipment. They'll take that out as well. And then we had some enhanced contract services for finance IT for projects. Everything indicated with an asterisk, we will be asking them to roll forward. So those dollars will roll forward into the next year. But just so you know, I'm talking about the county vernacular here. This is how they're thinking about it. It's really key to note, though, too, in the black bar that I have just below the final black bar. From the county's standpoint, every year of the I-280 project, in the case of 25-26, it's 2.75 million. They consider that a one-time item. So they will actually take that out, and then we will approach them again to put it back in. So it is this dance between expenditure and rollover as well. So that's how we develop the baseline in our discussions with the county. Next slide, please. But we'll also talk to them about adjustments to our budget that are operational. And so there really aren't special requests. They're just normal and routine. And then we will talk to them about they're just normally should be included in the budget as we start our baseline. So the request here is please include these in our baseline. So these are pretty clear. It's $411,000 for the fire contract increase. Our general salary and wages and taxes and full benefits, that's $218,000. That includes temporary as well. There's various increases in liability insurance and workers' comp insurance. That's $57,000. There's increase in county legal services of $17,500. But we also, it's important for us to mention to the county that we also moderated and took down costs where we could. So for instance, the temporary refuge area, we eliminated that for now. We realize it needs further study, so we eliminated that from the budget. We moderated some hydrant and infrastructure repairs given actual trends historically. And we moderated the open space fuel bank program. So these are items that we'll be talking to the county and asking them to include these adjustments in their baseline before we proceed to step 2. Next step would be talking to them about, which is the next slide, which would be our one-time request. And as I mentioned, it's a level budget, so we don't have many one-time requests really that are sizable. The biggest one is I-280. It's $400,000 more than it was last year. Having said that, though, in the county's perspective, they will consider the whole 3.15 a one-time. And then we will go into a justification memo that goes to the county explaining to them that this is year 3 of the $6.9 million project. The good news there is in our discussions with OBA over the years, they fully understand that I-280 is a 3-year project, and it joins together over the multiple years as well. And there is also additional money we put in here for the website upgrade, which we're excited about, which we've started moving on in terms of investigation. We enhanced that as well. So really, if you look at our one-time requests this year, they're fairly benign and mostly related to I-280. Next slide, please. There are ongoing requests. These are requests that we're indicating we want to increase the budget, but we want these to continue over time. $191,000 for the HIZ program. We don't know how many years you'll maintain that $491,000 level, but it could be several years. So we're going to ask them to keep that in the budget, and if it needs future adjustment, we'll make a future adjustment. As I mentioned, the flashy fuel program and evacuation routes went up by $172,000. But then again, that includes the contingency from last year. So that will be an easy discussion with the county, because it's essentially just a reallocation. We are asking for additional strength in independent contractors, temporary employee services, and in finance contract support as well. And the reason being is we expect the remainder of 25-26 and the bulk of 26, 27 to be extremely busy, extremely major project filled. And at the same time, we have the blessing and the curse, if you will, of being fully staffed. We are fully staffed, which is wonderful. And thank you for that resource. But at the same time, because we are fully staffed, we know that if we have any need for flexibility, it's going to have to come from contractor support and it's going to have to come from temporary services. That's our only buffer, if you will. And we think it's going to be extremely, extremely busy in 26, 27 with these major projects going on. Next slide, please. Okay, rollovers. This is what we know about rollovers right now. If you look at this rollover chart, if I could lead your eyes over to the middle section of that, the county has already approved $6,081,634 of rollovers. They approved this year, which means that they have essentially added that into our budget above last year's adopted. So that's good news. And you can see I-280 is in there. You can see the apparatuses are in there. The new facility fire study is in there, and some other items as well. As we go to the last section of the grid, this is what I anticipate we will ask for rollovers in 26, 27. So for the fire facility study, I'm asking for the 2 years to be combined and rolled into 26, 27. For the PEIR, that's a combined $350,000. Because we took the fire apparatus out of expenditures back into commitments, we'll ask to roll the $2.3 million. And for the I-280 fuel break, we will be rolling $3,166,000, which is essentially the 2 years that we have already budgeted, less we expect to spend about $580,000 of that this year. So at the end of the day, we think we're going to be asking for rollovers about $6.8 million. So important to mention, and this is why the rollovers are a bit of a confusing process. If this commission approves the $22.3 million budget that's on the table, and if the county approves the $22.3 million budget that's on the table, at the end of the day, if they also approve the 6.8, in essence, in their system, the budget will be the 22 million plus the 6.8 internally in their system. So that way we don't lose those dollars and we preserve them, as well. So General Manager Logan and I have some work to do here because essentially all these items we talk to them about and all our requests we talk to them about over the course of the next 3 months as well. Next slide. So at the end of the day, what does it look like in terms of fund balances? This is where we are. So you can see our committed funds are 16.3 million, and committed funds means they've been earmarked and they've been set aside. And you can see that the $2.3 million for the fire truck is in there. I'll show you the breakdown in a minute. And we're left with unassigned funds of $30,189,000 roughly for draft 26-27. That's what we have in our fund balance as well. Next slide. If you look at this, also, I want to take a look in a different way. Also. And that is, you can see here the totals, total fund balance, because I didn't put the total on the previous one, I should have. $46,489,952. So the estimate of fund balance at the end of 25-26 is 49.7 million. But for a minute here, I want to just throw out this idea of what, the long-term view could be of the use of these funds at this point in time. So if you take the $46.5 million that we project at the end of 26-27, if you consider for a moment that we have not spent the $2.3 million for the fire truck yet because it's not in the expenditure line item. Well, if that's paid out, that fund balance goes down. And then additionally, you have $3.1 million, which has to do with the I-280 projects up to this point. Well, now your fund balance goes to $41 million. I do believe that by the end of 26-27, with these large dollar projects, you're going to see these fund balances go down. You're going to see the use of funds as well. So that's what the crystal ball is telling me as I look at it, and we look at what's planned and what's on the table as well, which is a really exciting thing to say because those fund balances are there for a reason, and they're being put back into the community on very, very important projects as well. Next slide, please. And here is a breakdown of all our commitments. And these commitments are important for the commission to look at because they are items put in place by the commission, and they all have a purpose. So you have the fire hydrant, you have the fire apparatus, you have hydrants there of $3 million. You have wildfire technology, building and improvements, emergency operations, and operations. So these are, if you will, contingencies, emergency dollars that'll be used in the future. They also may be used for facilities. They also may be used in a sense to protect us in terms of our hydrants infrastructure. But these were put in place well before I joined the district, and they're still solid and they're still being proposed as well. Lastly, let's see, next slide. Okay, so I also wanted to take a different look at this as well. And we are, General Manager Logan and I are preparing a 10-year forecast. We'll be bringing that to you in the future. But I thought, let me just discuss this 10-year forecast and where it may be headed, because many times we get the question, well, that's a lot of money in your fund balance. What is the plan for that? And I'm trying to succinctly make the point that, there definitely is a plan for that, given what the strategic plans are for the district. So if you look at the $44.2 million that was projected as of the end of this year, consider that if we build a new fire station, well, that's $15 million. And consider that if we ever refresh El Monte, that's $5 million. So there's 20 out of the 44 potentially right off the bat. Also, what we might also be looking at in the future is if we build a new fire facility, well, guess what? We'll also have to fund staffing through the fire agency. Well, that is also going to add a base of cost to our operational budget. So I will say this, I applaud this commission for the fiscal prudence that they had, because what you see now is that those dollars have a definite purpose, and they will get us to where the district wants to be in terms of fire safety in an enhanced way. So before you get the 10-year forecast, that's my initial read on it as well. And also there's a level of fuel break maintenance that also will be factoring into the budget as well in the future. So that's a mini 10-year forecast, if you will, just to look at. Next slide. So I think this is my last slide. This is an important slide for us. We haven't moved from this posture or this position. It's a year of high impact deliverables. It's a year of advancing the work plan. The new fire facility looms large. The I-280 looms large. HIZ, just dramatic success in that area. Of course, outreach is always important. You're seeing we're leveraging contracts. We're planning for the future, the potential of a future fire facility. And we're planning for the continuance of a very successful service model as well. And I will mention to some of the comments that General Manager Logan mentioned about Los Altos and the time that the contract was developed, Los Altos. I was also part of that cost analysis when Los Altos was looking at the model as well, when we did that as well. So it is a very good model, and one that I know helps from a fiscal projection standpoint to know what the parameters are on cost on such an important service as well. So with that, I think Corey, that's the last slide. Yes. Oh, well, this is where we're headed. So after tonight, with this commission's blessing, we will submit Exhibit A to OBA. It looks, if we do need, we will have the final draft coming back to this commission on February 17th. I do not expect many changes at all between now and February 17th. Having said that, OBA was very generous in allowing us that bandwidth of time between now and the 17th to make changes that may arise. But having said that, we really do not expect any as well. The Board of Supervisors meetings will be May 11th through the 13th. The Board of Supervisors budget hearings will be June 15th, 16th, and 18th. and the commission adopts, will come back to this commission to adopt what the county has adopted on June 23rd, 2026. So with that, that's the end of this discussion, other than the last one, which is the last slide, which is to thank everybody. What I don't have on here, and I should have had on here on the very top, is the county OPA, thanking them for their assistance. But all these staff members and all this team made this draft budget possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Russ, for a very comprehensive and very interesting view of everything. What comments do we have here from the commission? Oh,
I have two questions. Number one, do you have any line items for secondary road, fire access, and things like that throughout the town? Do we have sufficient amount of financial wherewithal to take care of those things?
Are you talking about the maintenance of the trucks, or are you talking about replacing?
Just whatever it takes to provide the residences that are stuck at the end of a, pretty narrow road or whatever it is. Do we have ways of reaching them as a result of this budget in 26, 27?
Are we talking about emergency access roads? I'm not sure I'm understanding the questions.
I guess
well, we do have the study for emergency access roads. And what we have dollars in there to look at that and work with the county. As you know, there are jurisdictional issues with emergency access roads. So we have the study in the budget, but we don't have dollars in particular. Having said that, we have a very healthy fund balance to put dollars in when they're needed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. My second question is, there is a great deal of cost overrun in regard to the large projects. For example, a new fire station, if you would decide to build it. The estimate that you have here, are they conservative estimates? They are kind of hold the finger to the wind estimate. What kind of
they are. We did look at the cost of fire facilities, but having said that, just like if you look at the I-280 project, we really won't know that real number until we complete the facility study and all that. But I have fairly good confidence that we're within that range.
So within $15 million, you're okay?
Potentially. Could be less, could be more. But at this point in time, I would call it a placeholder. But that's what the fire facility study is going to help us determine, because it really is dependent upon the lot, the size of the facility, the nature of the facility. So I wouldn't take that number to heart. But what I want to show, though, is that it is a potential for $15 million or so. And I want to also, that helps us understand how we can better plan on a long-term basis in terms of use of cash. So I would say it's conservative potentially, but it's too early to tell.
Any other questions, comments up here? Well, I'll just say that having read through the whole budget narrative is really an impressive work, and I've mentioned this on the email. And for any resident who's interested in, it's so transparent. Here's what we're doing. Here the dollars are going. And it's a really amazing document, which a lot of effort went into it. So I encourage people to read it and look at it. Great. And with that, any public comments?
Did you get a mic on?
No, she's in there.
Your glasses here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to be sure you didn't lose.
Thank you. They're only short distance.
Hi, Alan Epstein. I live in the district. I just want to bring to the commissioner's attention that if you look at the difference between the budget for FY26 and the estimated actuals for FY26, when you set the budget for FY26, you expected to end the year with almost a $4 million drawdown. And as it turns out, you're going to end the year with $1 million extra. So that's $5 million difference between the budget and the actual numbers. This isn't the first year of $5 million differences. This is about the fourth year in a row of $4 to $5 million differences between budgets and actuals. And you got to ask yourself, well, what's going on? And part of what's going on is that things that you're budgeting for, you're not completing on the schedule that you anticipated them being completed on. Second thing I'll say is that this budget for 27 includes $1.2 million of contingency. Every single budget for the last 4 years has had somewhere in that neighborhood of contingencies. haven't spent a dime for contingency over any of those years. So I subject that those contingency numbers are just much greater than they need to be. I'm not understanding what's going on with the fire facility. You took the money out of the budget. Does that mean we're not planning to spend any money on the fire facility budget? Because it's not clear to me how you're going to do it without having the money in the budget. I guess I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other public comments?
Can we address how the
None.
fire facility is being funded next year?
Yes, and so the fire facility will be funded, but it will be funded via the rollovers. So the interesting dance with the rollovers is that on major projects and multi-year projects, the county considers them one time, takes them out, then puts them back in. So you could see the logic in last time, me putting the $2.3 million of the fire truck and the line items, because in the line items, obviously you can see it. It's there. When you move it to commitments, think of it as below the line accounting, if you will. It's in fund reserve. It's in there. When the county does approve the rollovers, they will appear back in the line items as well. So it's that rollover process, which they do for a very prudent way. As you know, many organizations have succumbed to budget creep, if you will. And the way a good organization avoids budget creep is they don't allow the continual replacement of budgets without justification. That is the concept, if you will, of the rollovers with the county, and it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And I think the plan is to move forward with the
right. But the
plan
money's there.
Yeah,
it's just being rolled over from this year to next year.
Yep. Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And let's see. Well, we move actually to item D is the key thing, which is as discussed and recommended by staff. I will now entertain a motion for item 10D to authorize staff to submit the fiscal year 26-27 draft budget, Exhibit A, and the draft budget narrative to the County Office of Budget and Analysis. Can I get a motion in a second?
You just said all the work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tyson. Tyson moves authorization of the submission of the draft budget as noted in item 10D.
Hanka seconds.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Any discussion? Any public comment on that?
None.
None. Let's take a roll call.
President Spreen?
Yes.
Vice President McDonald? Commissioner Basigi?
Yes.
Commissioner Tonka?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
And the motion passes 6-0, 1 absent.
Thank you. Pen here. There we go. Okay, moving on to item 11. Is that right? Yeah, election of officers. Item 11A is the election of the commission president. I'll say it's been it continues to be a wonderful honor sitting here. I'm happy to continue that, but I realize I serve at the pleasure of you.
I move that we elect President Spreen.
I second.
Okay. No further ado. Let's see. Any discussion in the commission? Any public comment on that?
No.
Seeing none. We will now vote for that.
All right. President Spreen?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Basigi?
Yes.
Commissioner Tonka?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes 6-0, 1 absent, and President Spreen will continue to be president for the calendar year of 2026.
Well. And moving on to 11B, election of the commission vice president. I have not asked him, but I would like to move that we maintain our vice president, Commissioner McDonald, if you will agree.
I second that.
I would be honored.
Excellent. Okay. Let's see. Commissioner McDonald is nominated for commission vice president. Let's see. Let's take a roll call.
Okay, so President Spreen?
Yes.
Vice President McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Basigi?
Enthusiastic, yes.
Hey, Commissioner Tonka?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
And that motion passes 6-0, 1 absent, and Vice President McDonald will continue to be vice president for the calendar year 2026.
Yay. All right. Thank you. Moving on to item 12, commission member reports. 12A is an opportunity for commissioners to provide reports or suggestions for any future agenda topics. I think we would discuss that. Oh,
I'm
yes.
not sure how well the word has gotten out that the town of Los Altos Hills will be having a ribbon cutting event for an underground and utilities project to be held at the corner right in front of the El Monte Fire Station on Thursday, January 22nd at 11 a.m.
Oh, great.
And
Awesome.
so the public is invited. I don't know if word has gotten out very well, but I'll do it here.
And it's been solely spearheaded by Commissioner Tyson.
Yeah.
Single-handedly.
Thursday, 11. I'll try and do that. Excellent. Refreshments there?
Corey?
I wasn't invited.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think for future
This week, I think.
agenda, I think the word sentiment is that we'd like a good readout at the February meeting on the status of the 280 project and where we are, because we are, getting close to a bit, what are we at, 90% at this point? So we should, in a month, we should have a pretty good understanding of the project from a financial and contract scope.
Great. Excellent comment. Great. Any others? Okay. Let's see. This is notice that next regular commission meeting is scheduled for February 17th, 2026, in person and in hybrid at the town council chambers. I'll remind everybody that this is a semi-annual reports, and also next month will be the scheduling of the March meeting weed abatement, as I recall, just so prepare for that in your mind. Any public comment on the scheduling of February 17th? Is everyone planning on being here?
I will be in Maryland, but can attend remotely.
Oh, awesome. Great. It'll be a good test of our systems for that. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I didn't really think this through.
Yeah. Any public comment on the scheduling there? I see you.
If I understood correctly, there's going to be a report about the fire contract at the February meeting as well. I think that was the takeaway from.
Yes, I think that was discussed during the item itself.
Thank you very much.
Yep. And actually part of the meeting at the council as well. So, okay, in that case, moving on to item 11, adjournment. This concludes the January 20th, 2026 regular meeting, Los Altos Hills County Fire District. Adjourning the meeting at, what time is it? 9:40 p.m. District Clerk Vargas, please stop the recording.